Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Rednauer with Great River Human Resources, and today I'm excited to bring a special edition of Ignite HR Hot Seat featuring both Chris Beyer and Brad Johnson, who are vice presidents with AssuredPartners. And how are you guys doing this morning?
Doing well, Matt.
Doing
Thanks for having
great.
us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I know we were talking about our brackets and all of that. Sounds like you guys didn't do any, so sounds like you guys saved yourself some pain and punishment over this past weekend.
I can just watch games without really having any concern. It's just gliding through.
So, for those of you who are listening, we are doing Ignite HR Hot Seat, which allows for our listeners to learn more about our valuable sponsors that really give back a lot to GRHRA and make it as successful as it is. And we are going to put them through a few lukewarm or hot questions here today to learn a little bit more about them. And with that, gentlemen, are you ready to hop into the hot seat today?
Let's
Let's do
go.
it.
All right. So first question I have for you, what are the most popular topics HR professionals are asking about currently with respect to benefits?
Yeah, I'll take that one on. And, again, Brad and I, being members of Great River, has really helped us keep a good pulse on what is happening within the market. But I would say, as we're talking with our clients and prospective clients on benefits, a lot of questions are coming through on pharmacy programs. A lot of questions about weight loss medications, as we call them, GLP-1s. Really, we're seeing a lot of additional spend and a lot of employers interested in having some of those covered under their plan. So that's been a definite topic. And then, compliance continues to be a challenge for a lot of our HR professionals, both from a state and federal standpoint. We have legislation coming in, legislation going out. I think that's been the theme probably since we got hit with COVID, that there's just change all the time. And a lot of our clients are going back through compliance review and training just to make sure that they're not missing something that would apply to them, because there's so many different facets of HR that they're focused on, not just on benefits or compliance, that, these become very important things.
Lots of changes going on. And it's actually a question I'll ask you a little bit later on that where that's
Yeah.
going to fall into that too. So next question I have for you. I see that you both have the weekly posts, which you guys do, or not weekly, but daily posts. Even throughout the weekend, there's posts going on with CB squared is what you commonly refer to it as. But then you also collaborate with Brad on
Yes.
I believe it's the Bottom Line Thursday. How did all of this get started? What was the inspiration behind all of this?
Yeah, I guess if Chris grabbed the first one, I'll probably take this one. So Chris Beyer and his partner Chris Bowling have been masters at LinkedIn, and I really had never done a whole lot on LinkedIn, candidly. But I did write a newsletter. I call it the monthly bottom line newsletter, and it just summarizes the what I view as the key events for the month that people should know in a real simple format. And Chris and I got to talking, thinking, hey, this might be an interesting way to have a little additional content for you, and it would kind of force me to get out there and be on LinkedIn as well. So that's really how I got started. And I think we've got a decent following. We try to keep it
Yeah.
conversational. And, because benefit topics can get so heavy, we don't want it to be like that. It's just basically what are the key things to walk away with, and maybe go a little deeper than the newsletter just to get kind of our personal opinions on what we talk about. So that's really how it came about. So
Yeah. And you have lots and lots of people that subscribe to your newsletter. I've seen it many, many, many years
Yes.
ago, and I'm also I receive this newsletter. I can only imagine it's grown by multiple hundreds since the last time I've seen how long this list is, and I'm sure that being on LinkedIn has helped make that grow even further.
Absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, Brad finds some really good topics, and even before we were teammates with AssuredPartners, I knew of this newsletter. I knew that he was helping keep people up to date on things in the marketplace, and it's been fun to be able to collaborate with Brad as we're now part of the AP team.
I read it every week, or not every week, because you only post it once a month for the newsletter is, but
you can
we
read it twice if you want,
yeah.
but I won't quiz you.
So next question, and again, it kind of goes hand in hand, similar on what you spoke about earlier on the first question there, Chris. But what are some changes you see coming in the world of benefits due to the change in the most recent administration?
Yeah, I continue to see probably transparency being something that we'll run into. As we've seen so many things come through from retirement side now, from the benefit side, what's actually happening behind the scenes, whether that's with pharmacy program, whether that's with how our benefit consultants and brokers, how we're compensated. I think that will continue to be a topic that comes out. What's actually happening within the world of benefits that the consumer and the employer isn't seeing, and then, it's really, once that happens, I think the administration is probably looking at things to make it a little bit simpler as well. I think, Brad, you could add to that as well as some of the things that you're seeing that may go out the window just because they're too complex to administer right now.
Yeah, I think, I think we're seeing, beyond even just health benefits, it seems like the administration is really trying to simplify some of the regulatory things. So there's recently executive order passed that said for every new regulation, you have to get rid of 10 old ones or identify 10 to get rid of.
Yeah.
And I think that's as a backdrop that there's some fairly complex rules today that employers are trying to just navigate. There's some very complex mental health parity rules. I know there's some issues with how to determine if a health plan is deemed discriminatory or not. Those might actually ease up based on some of these things. But what's also interesting too, even though that's on the administrative side of things, or kind of executive branch, I should say, we're seeing a rise in the number of employee lawsuits against their employer, which is interesting, which has nothing to do with change of administration. It's just kind of dipping the toe in the water and getting the sense of the environment. I think all that stems from the fact that costs keep going up, unfortunately.
Yes.
And then, people feel driven to do things because they no longer want to they don't want to keep paying those high levels, or at least slow down the rates of increases.
Do you guys foresee that a lot of changes will take place rapidly with the administration, or will it be drawn out? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Chris, any thoughts?
That's a tough one. I think if we looked at everything from the administration, you'll wake up one day and there's something new. And I think if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen fast. What the priority is to address some of these things, I don't know how quickly that will happen, but once they get reviewed, I'm sure it'll be a quick move to reduce or eliminate or whatever might be the case. That seems to be the theme.
Yep. Yep. And I think they're still putting some people in some various positions in the administration, but yeah, and I know they've got a freeze on a lot of new regulations going on, and I'm sure once those people get in those departments and start to make those decisions, yeah,
right.
Chris and I are in full agreement on that.
This is what I normally do throughout the day. I'll look at the news right before the day starts in the morning around lunch, and then I'll glance at it in the evening. And every single time, it's something new has happened. And
something new, yes.
So, gentlemen,
no, that's very true.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for participating in the hot seat today. For everybody that's listening, Brad and Chris are at pretty much nearly all of the events that take place with Great River Human Resources. So if you want to learn more about them, they'll certainly be there at many of these. So certainly pull them aside and ask any questions that may come to mind. If this is your first time reviewing an Ignite HR hot seat and you'd like to learn more about GRHRA and certainly our partners, please check us out at grhra.org, and we look forward to seeing you here in the future. And thank you again, gentlemen.
All right.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. You guys have a good day.
You too.